Namaste. Greetings. It's always a pleasure and an honor to be with you. Thank you very much for joining. A lot has been happening since our previous video. A huge amount of information is being processed in advance of the next major website update. But I just wanted to share with you some on-camera appearances, some video cameos of the members of our beloved soul family. Now, as we previously discussed, if you're interested in comprehensive proof of the reality of the spirit world and of beings from other places, I would recommend beginning with the massive, meticulous, multi-decade whistleblower case laid out by Dr. Stephen Greer, which we introduced in video number 3. Then video number 4 starts to tie together the big picture, and like I say, there's a lot more where that's coming from. And this particular video is just to introduce, like I say, some on-camera video appearances from the members of our beloved soul family. Our telepathy practice group is no longer known as a telepathy practice group. We're calling it a Satsang group because even though we're not yet experts at telepathy, the metaphysical is such a part of our daily lives that we're finding that the best use of these meetings is just to share related knowledge as we spiritually grow together. So we're referring to the meetings as Satsang meetings in reference to the Sanskrit word Satsang for a sacred spiritual gathering. I'll be sharing video from 4 of the 5 of us, beginning with my own little humble encounter and expanding greatly out from there. So let's go ahead and get started. This first encounter took place in November, less than 3 months ago. I was in a meeting with Misty Rios, which I'll introduce in much greater depth later in the video. We'll have an extended discussion together, and it'll be no surprise why this orb that appeared in my video took place as I was chatting with Misty. Now, if you look over my left shoulder, the upper right corner of your screen, you'll see the orb. We're seeing it replay a few times here, and you can clearly see this figure in the upper right corner of the screen as we're having our satsang or telepathy/satsang meeting. Okay, now I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce my very first telepathy practice partner, Faith Rose. I joined Dr. Greer's ambassador group a little over a year ago, and one of the first people I met there was Faith. And very shortly after we got to connecting, we decided to practice telepathy together, and it's been amazing ever since then. And little did I know at the time just how extensive Faith's background in the metaphysical was. I heard she'd been acclimated to the space for a long time, and that she'd had some unusual experiences in her life, but that scarcely scratches the surface of the situation. Recently, she was having an appearance related to the book she just completed, and this on-camera appearance took place in that context. So I'll be sharing that with you. I'll be introducing the book, but I wanted to read the book before I released this video, and so I did, and it just blew me away. This book is amazing. Now, Faith is one of my best friends, but regardless, this is still one of the best books I've read, and it's amazing because if you think that I have courage, that's nothing compared to what Faith has had, and this is an excellent synopsis of just metaphysical experience one after another in the modern world with somebody who's relatable, like say one of my best friends, and it just shows you that the metaphysical realm is real, and it shows you just how far it can take your life if you lay yourself out there and commit the courage to riding the crest of its wave. So it's a wonderful book, and like I say, I'm not just saying that. I mean, it's a very logical next place to go relative to this space, and that's probably the reason why our soul family appeared. They're not here to entertain us; they're here to help us grow. And these on-camera appearances can often relate to important spiritual messages, and this is clearly the case in Faith's appearance. So I'll play a rather extended piece from her appearance, and you'll see where the being appears. And I'll play it a few times so you can see the big picture here, and I'll let you enjoy it. So here we go.
Anyway, I'm delighted to be here, and I'm beautiful blessings and wishes to all of you. I'm very excited to let you know about the memoir that my husband and I wrote, and I recently published. And I should, I guess, do a little caveat that my husband actually passed away almost 4 years ago now, and he actually helped me with the book both through his diary and from the other side, which was a very beautiful experience for me. I'll just mention to you a little bit, the title is Let Your Destiny Find You, A Spiritual Journey Beyond Imagination, and we titled it that way because my husband's and my journey is rather a beautiful and amazing story, and it was done completely by allowing guidance to guide us and not trying to make the kinds of plans that we are really encouraged to do in our society. It was rather a life of flowing with what we needed to be able to do by listening. And we have found what we have found and believe is that is definitely the way you want to live your life, because it leads you to things that you would never dream of, things that you wouldn't imagine. And when we set limits for ourselves, then we're drawing a box around what our life should look like. Not that you can't make plans, but that you have to be willing to be flexible with them and to pay closer and closer attention to what guidance is really trying to tell you, because that is the most important thing. I'm going to pull up here a little quote. I've been very encouraged. This was sort of a difficult thing, just so you know. The book is not a teaching, meant to be a teacher-student type of a book. It's not written that way. It's written solely from our personal experience, and it is all about a lot of the foils and tribulations that especially me, as a very difficult student, shall we say, went through in hosting a very great yogi from India that my husband and I coincidentally, in quotes, met, that we later found out that we actually incarnated in this lifetime to serve. And so the book is centered a lot around our years of service with him, but also goes into great depth about how we met and the path of our relationship in the process of this divine service and discovering our soul partnership over lifetimes and the depth of that relationship. And then also, after my husband's passage, after over 31 years together, the enormous amount of grief that I processed to turn it all into gratitude and just feel so much gratefulness for everything that I've been given in life, even the difficult times, because I see the light in all of it. And so the quote I'm going to give you here was somewhat, the reviews we've had have just touched me so deeply. And one of them quoted a passage actually from the book, and so I'm going to share it with you here. It says, "Your divine self is using your plans and your desires to move you in your right direction, because you can't see the incredible life that is waiting for you. You can't see what's on top of the mountain from below. You have to walk the path step by step and trust you will get there. Trusting is how your destiny will find you. Everyone's destiny is greater than they realize, because every destiny has only one purpose, and that is to let you shine with your greatest magnificence. Your only purpose for being here is to let that happen. Your divine self is using your plans and your desires to move you in your right direction, because you can't see the incredible life that is waiting for you. You can't see what's on top of the mountain from below. You have to walk the path step by step and trust you will get there. Trusting is how your destiny will find you. Everyone's destiny is greater than they realize, because every destiny has only one purpose, and that is to let you shine with your greatest magnificence. Your only purpose for being here is to let that happen. You can't see what's on top of the mountain from below. You can't see what's on top of the mountain from below. You have to walk the path step by step and trust you will get there. Trusting is how your destiny will find you. Everyone's destiny is greater than they realize, because every destiny has only one purpose, and that is to let you shine with your greatest magnificence. Your only purpose for being here is to let that happen."
All right. Now, Brian Hillier is our group's expert in visual analysis, and I'll share with you 6 on-camera appearances that all took place in a single meeting earlier this month. Here we go. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was a small one. And 6. Let's watch those again. All right, so now it's my pleasure to introduce Misty Rios. And Misty's had so many on-camera appearances, it's hard to know where to begin. So the way that I approached this is I went to her YouTube channel and tried to put together a greatest hits collection of her on-camera appearances. And I wanted to record her voiceover and chat a little bit about her background. And so we went ahead and did this. And it turned out that our discussion went rather long. We covered a lot of material, a lot of wisdom. We had some integrated synchronicities. And so there's a lot of value here. And although I was planning to edit this together and keep it rather compact, I see a lot of value in sharing this largely unedited with you so that you can see the whole story from beginning to end. And so it's my pleasure to introduce Misty and her amazing experiences. Just one other note, though, before we get started, which is when we talk about reaching out to the universe with unconditional love, at least in my case, that's sort of an aspirational goal. I try to do the best I can, and I'm continuing to try. But even if you can't reach out in absolutely perfect unconditional love, just do the best you can. And in my case, I had my one on-camera experience, and I've had a lot of experiences that aren't on camera. But just wherever you're comfortable beginning, just start there, move forward. If you keep moving forward, you'll eventually get to your destination. And looking at Faith's experiences and Misty's experiences, Brian's on-camera appearances, it's so obviously clear that the metaphysical realm is real. And just please take it to its logical conclusions. I mean, this solves everything, and this is consistent with the whistleblower case laid out by Dr. Stephen Greer. The world doesn't need to keep running around in circles, doing a marathon to avoid the metaphysical. I mean, the world is very courageous in things that don't matter. Let's please be courageous in things that do, and let's actually solve the problem by having the difficult discussions around religion, spirituality, government, relationships. Now, if we have these difficult discussions, we can get through these difficult situations and we can reach solutions. Let's apply courage where it matters, and we really can solve the world's problems. So with that introduction, I'll give you a small example of how that can be done, the characters surrounding our soul family, and the opportunities available to all of us. So let's go ahead and introduce Misty Rios. So Misty, I think we're onto something with this. When I was editing together the videos, before I added your heart orb at the end, the time on the video collection was 4:44 without me planning it. So we've got some.
Oh, whoa, so cool! I love when that happens. I love when that happens. It's the synchronicities, synchronicities.
Yeah.
That was just the perfect word for me. It was like he was in my head, knowing that I feel disconnected in this concrete jungle the day, Sunbo taught me that word. It was like he was in my head and said, here, she needs this word. You know what I mean? It was beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting to be that way for me all day, every day. I mean,
exactly.
The only way to make
Sorry,
go ahead.
It's just never less exciting and magical. Like every time is just as whoa as the next. It's like, and I hope it stays that way. I don't want to ever start to take it for granted.
Yeah, and I think it will. I think the issue is that what we're experiencing is the native form of communication, where everything is a gift and a surprise, because that just makes sense. And what I've noticed is the way to make sure your question does not get answered is ask it directly and expect a certain answer, and that'll never happen. But if the feeling is just in your heart, then everything will fall into place.
And it does over and over again. It's so incredible. It's so incredible. What a year. Because I realized looking back, I'm starting to get the memories that pop up. Here's a memory from, and they're starting to come up as memories from the photo memories. And it's only been a year. I thought 2. I'm going to have to double check that. But I think it's only been a year that I've even had these cameras up and started photographing them. And it just feels like it's been forever. and I believe they've been with me longer than I've actually been seeing them with me, but that still doesn't change. It's only been 1 year.
Yeah, I was looking at the timestamps, and I think there's some that go back about what. That's a good question.
Is it possibly 2 years? Because I know it's right around this time of year.
Yeah, it's about a year and a half. And so, well, I guess that's a good segue to the background here. Just wanted to note before we get started, these videos are for people that really have no acclimation to this space. And you and I could talk all day about things that are way beyond where they're coming from. So I think if we focus on the orbs and if Hugo and the feather and the ghost kitty find their way into it, that's fine. But I think if we focus mainly on the orbs, that'll get their attention. And just so you're aware how the video is structured, I start small and then go big. So so at the beginning we
I'm
have.
gonna let you lead because yeah, I know I can definitely get lost, and so
Sure. And so the video is 5 minutes, but we'll just go with whatever seems right. So if you see something and you want to talk about it, I can pause the video. We can replay it. I'll fix everything in the end so it all makes sense. So whatever feels natural to you, just go with it.
I wonder if you have included in there. I feel like February 7th last year was like a major orb year or a day. I don't know why. All day I've been feeling like that. Like it was this day last year that some really magnificent, or in the beginning of my orb journey, happened on February 7th, possibly March 7th. So now I'm curious if you grabbed one of those by accident again. I don't think you noticed what dates on them, but you may have actually accidentally grabbed one from exactly a year ago today.
Well, I looked at the timestamps. That date doesn't stick out from the timestamps, but I was thinking the same thing. I can't really put my finger on it, but 2 sevens. Well, two. If 7 is the highest dimension, 2 the 7th dimension, something of that nature.
Ooh, interesting. See, now I'm very curious. I'm just going to take a quick peek. Do I disappear though when I do this?
Don't worry about it. I'll make everything look good again.
Okay. I just out of curiosity, I feel like something happened. It may have been March 7th. I did want to, because all day I've been thinking that like it's some sort of anniversary for us. But no, okay, so 8/16/2020, my very first one. Okay, the first time, this was 8/5/2020. I just came across my very first CCTV of these orbs. It blew my mind. Oh my gosh, it blew my mind that day. And that was on August 5th, 2020. My very first video. And I even, in the video's description online, I even explained, this was my first introduction. I think that's what I called it. So where did I get the idea then? So you're right. It was a little bit before that.
Yeah.
Then February. Still feel like that is so cool. That is so taking this trip down memory lane. Oh, and we're focusing on indoor orbs, right? Not the outdoor orbs. It was. Yeah. Okay, I do have February 7th video here in favorites. In my room, it's going slow, so I don't know what it was. Was it the mist that day? I'm sorry, I don't mean to.
No, good.
Because I do have one from February 7th, so I wasn't completely wrong on that date. And it may have been March 7th that something else happened. I won't. Yep, the mist. That first time I got that weird misty glare, that was exactly 1 year ago today.
Wow. So yeah, the compilation actually starts with that video from August 5th, 2020.
Okay.
And I noticed that you've also, your oldest video though goes back to 7/20. So it sounds like you discovered these then, and then you started looking back at some earlier footage and you found something a little bit earlier.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. I have one from July because my memory, interesting. Because that one I just found with my daughter's cat, the Bengal cat, in the chair. I don't even have a camera in that location anymore. That's funny. But that's what I remember being the first time I saw them all come out and circle around the room and come back again, and being, even though it's one of the older videos, it's still one of my favorites. And because that was the day. this path started. I literally pulled out dusters and things and went around to the cameras and did all kinds of experiments and ordered a second camera so I could point in the other direction and see where these were coming from, and tried all these things and figure out what in the world other than, metaphysical could this have been. Just ruled out everything. Dust looks completely different. And this was like 4 a.m. with no movement in the house. What would have suddenly caused a burst of dust to come out of my wall, circle the room, and go back to the wall? Like the whole thing, I'm like, this isn't dust. Oh my goodness. And it just started this, yeah. What do we figure? A little over a year long. Ooh, it's been a fun one.
Yeah, it's been amazing. So so let me go ahead and we'll imagine that we're starting the video right now. And so I'd like to introduce Misty Rios, the Orb Whisperer. If you think you've seen a lot of orbs so far, check out Misty's channel, Misty and Friends. It's amazing. It'll blow your mind how many orbs are captured on camera. And so, Misty, it's wonderful to be with you. Thank you for sharing these videos. It takes courage, and hopefully, it's inspiring others to follow your path and to do what you've done. So,
well, I thank you for giving me that courage, because for every one of those, I've got 100 more right here on my phone that were just bursting to be seen. And it did take courage that you helped give me. So I thank you as well.
And you've given me courage too. I mean, to see all these things on video, it gives me courage to have something to point to say that this is real. And the example you have is just, it's illustrating something that a lot of institutions would say is impossible. They can say whatever they want, but the proof is in the situation here. And we're not cherry picking. I mean, you and I know a lot of stuff that we're not talking about, that this phenomenon is real, and this is only a sampling of what we've experienced. So it's truly amazing what you've established. And so I think, Missy, a good place to begin is to sort of explain your background, how you've been involved with nature, sort of your background leading up to this phenomenon.
Well, wow, yeah, because there's been so many branches, and luckily I was raised very open-mindedly, sort of a cosmology type of background, so I wasn't forced into religions from the get, and found myself actually in college studying religions just so I could get an understanding of what everybody else was involved in, and found a connection actually between them all, how similar they all were. As an outsider, I could see clearly how similar they all were. It was just depending on what part of the world or whatever. Anyways, so it just became this all. I've always been a beach girl, an island girl, a nature girl, and experiences with other things in the sky and whatever. And then I spent about 10 years on Maui, really, really, really connecting to nature. It's magical, connected with whales and started finding little gifts. I'd sleep on the beach and I'd find these little, I have a whole bowl of them I should get and show you, little stones and like little marbles and coins sometimes, or certain like someone was leaving little gifts by me all the time, and I just started collecting them over the years. And then everything just sort of connected. One day I moved off of Maui into this apartment, and I started noticing the little statues and trinkets around the house were being turned around. I lived by myself. I had only the dog at the time, and she wasn't doing it. And I was noticing, I just feel it, feel an energy that like I just wasn't alone here. And these things were all turning around. They'd end up facing north, actually, because I've since moved one into my room, and it stays still facing north. Anyways, I put up a security camera inside, just a cheap little CCTV. And one day it caught these bright, shiny orbs just sort of flying around my house. They came out of nowhere, and I just blew my mind. And like I was saying earlier, I don't know how this will go, but I started doing all these experiments with dust, and I know I don't have bugs flying around my house. Dust looked completely different. Like, tried to figure out, rule out everything else until I realized this was something special. And I got another camera, and then another camera, and then when I got a new phone, a Galaxy phone with a really great camera, that's when I discovered they have color and design and structure. And again, it was like another mind-blowing. Meanwhile, I've been studying, I was getting into telepathy and sort of astral traveling, and so all these things just sort of all led together and eventually joined together. I started reaching out telepathically to speak to whatever friends I come across, other articles or talks that I'm just like, whoa, that's what mine do. Oh, that's what I feel. That's what I heard, and it just all fit together. Saw a video. I don't know if you wanted to go into this. I saw a video on Twitter that was my exact, some of my orbs had wings and legs. And again, I know I don't have bugs, and even if I did, these would have to be pretty large bugs. The way it looks, more like the size of a bat, and I think I would notice if a bat was
Sure.
flying around
Yeah.
my house.
Yeah, we'll be looking at those later. Yeah, yeah.
And the video on Twitter was posted by MUFON. They were calling it a fairy. And again, my head exploded. What? And I went back and found all those clips I knew I had that looked just like it. And if that one was a fairy, that meant mine were fairies. And so I started reading about the fairies, and because orbs, I'm learning. I do this. Sorry, I'll branch out in all different directions, but I'm
Go
learning
ahead.
orbs can be all different types of things. It's some are light beings themselves, some are small craft that other beings are using, or they merge with, or some could be spirits from other souls from who have passed over or on their way coming, or I don't know. And so probes, I'm told, some are like some of our ET friends will send probes in to just sort of scope out the situation before they come in themselves. So I wondered, but then I see these with the wings. Please.
Just a question. So how do these orbs make you feel? What's your relationship with them?
It's a very happy, relaxed energy here. Anybody that comes in just seems to just sort of melt in and say the same thing. It's just such a nice, and there's nothing. I'm just a normal person in a very humble little apartment. There's nothing special about it. That's them. That's the energy that's here. It's a beautiful, loving energy. And when I put the camera in my room and saw how many are around me all night while I sleep, it explained so much about how I have dealt with serious health issues. I now feel they have all helped heal me. I see them go in and out of my body. I feel things like tingling in my hair, or like a feather, like something's tickling my feather, or my nose with a feather. And over time, and over going in a consciousness and getting whatever upgrades or whatever, I've been able to see them with my naked eye more and more and more. At first it was like little flashes in the peripheral that you're just not sure, did I just see something, did I not? But now it's getting more clearer in actual view. Not as good as the camera sees them, but it's getting there. I don't know if I answered your question.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is wonderful. Yeah, it's important to know the background, that this is a product of harmony with nature. It's a very peaceful, loving relationship. It's what we strive for as we're practicing telepathy and connecting in love with beings in other places. I mean, the Earth is not the center of the universe. Life is not unique to this planet. There's no reason to expect that we're the wisest ones out there. Uh, Through quantum physics, there really isn't time or space or matter. What there is love. And so if we reach out in a open-minded, totally loving, unconditionally loving way, no bigotry based upon where you're from or how you look or whether your body is in spirit form. If you just send out love that resonates with loving beings who reach out to you. And as far as any sort of security concern, I mean, all you have to do is really look at the universe. The universe is stable, it holds together, and you don't see galaxies going to war with one another. The only place there seems to be instability is the planet Earth, because we haven't really acclimated to the maturity of the rest of the universe. The rest of the universe recognizes you just interact with each other through love the way that any newborn can figure out, and everything works out well.
100%. 100%. I think they see us as like a bunch of kindergartners they need to help protect and then take care of until we grow up enough to not, blow ourselves up, honestly.
Exactly.
And I think they've saved us from that already in the past. I think they definitely were here interfering back when we almost did blow ourselves up, a few decades ago. So.
Yeah, and it's really important that we understand this issue. And I'll be talking more about the messaging that's affiliated with these experiences. But one theme is that individual courage is very important. Just following institutions doesn't really get anybody anywhere, and we can see this time and again after history. If you're just following an institution, you're effectively just following the crowd. And if you look at the origins of the institutions, they're often based upon situations where an individual person is following their courage rather than initiating with an institution. So personal courage, personal courage, personal open-mindedness to put yourself out there, extend unconditional love, see what the universe delivers, look at the sky, and you'll get a sense of what you'll receive, which is unconditional love back. And recognizing the scale of other civilizations out there that could be way, way, way beyond ours. It just makes all the sense in the world to connect with them lovingly, which is what we've done. And they've been gracious enough to give us these on-camera appearances. We don't call them up like a butler and say, snap to it, appear here and there. That's not how it works. And you don't see the destination in advance. It's not commoditized. It's different from the way that the world operates. Everything is trust. I was mentioning before we got started that the way to make sure that you won't get a response is to say, I want it here in this time, in this particular way. Anything's possible, but that hasn't worked very well for me. But
These are my friends, like any other friend. If you were to call up a friend on the phone and demand that, you wouldn't have that friend much longer. These are my friends, and I invite them to join me in meditation or in singing or in housework or whatever it is. But I don't make demands of them, and they're not a circus act. And
exactly.
Everything you said is so absolutely right. And all you get is love from them. I never get love from institutions or governments, and maybe some people get love from religions too, but I see them all as trying to hide these truths from us, not open our minds to them. And they're here, they want to know us, they want to be part of our world, and they've been here longer than we have.
Yeah, exactly. And religions are a sensitive issue because a lot of people consider them sacred. It's complicated because religions have origins in spirituality, which to the extent that that's unconditional love, that's where it's at. But if it's conflated with an exclusionary doctrine that says that you're okay, but this other person gets to be punished eternally. I mean, why should anybody be punished eternally? These types of things really don't make sense if you think about them. So
100% agree. 100%. I've seen it even in families here in this lifetime, not allowed to speak to each other because one is such and such in the church and the other one smoked a cigarette. Honestly, true story. And they cannot speak to each other. That's what religion does. No.
Yeah. I mean, if you
spirituality is love and inclusion. Everybody is important and equal and important. There, everything you said, I couldn't even try to reword it better.
Well, it's what you're demonstrating. It's the example that you're
Right. I moved to this concrete jungle and really felt sad and disconnected from my island Maui. I really was feeling, and I've got my young baby tree out there, and my dog who's jingling in the background now, and my hummingbird friends, and so I had my tiny little piece of nature and just created my tiny little island here, and realized, oh, and a good friend of ours, Sunbow, gave us a new word, sacred in cities instead of sacred. I can't even say it the right way anymore. Instead of synchronicities, it's sacred in cities. And I'm in this concrete jungle, yet I've got a house full of everyone I believe came over from Maui with me, or at least some of them did.
Yeah, yeah. And just for those watching, the term is synchronicities in terms of just things lining up by time. Like if you're doing some chores and you look up at the clock and it happens to be a number that reads as a sentence or that has some meaning to you, this kind of thing happens to me all the time. That would be an example of synchronicity, and to the extent you value it, you can call it a sacrednicity.
The fact that I pick up the phone and call Steve at the exact moment we have the timestamps he was sending an email, those are what we call synchronicities.
Yeah.
And a little bit of telepathy mixed in too.
Yeah, which is how we met. I started a telepathy practice group a little over a year ago, and I think about this time, about a year ago, you joined us, Misty, and it's been.
I can't believe it's only been 1 year. It feels like we've packed a lifetime into 1 year.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. And just to get back to something we were talking about earlier in terms of perspective and intuition and how to navigate life. I mean, just as a thought experiment, imagine that a human lifetime were just a month. We're all born as newborns. We never speak language. We don't know what any of these philosophies and institutions are. All we know is gaga, goo goo, and good or bad, get along or not get along. And any infant can figure out love. And as we're dealing with civilizations that are on other planets with totally different histories, our language may not be native to them, and maybe they can figure it out if they've been around for a long time. But we can't walk up to them and say, I'm XYZ religion. First of all, maybe they don't even have audio hearing. We just relate to them with love, the same way that newborns would if they were just a month in terms of a lifespan. And all the intuitions surrounding a newborn are exactly correct. Just shelter them in love. They have all the opportunities in the world. They can accomplish anything. You would never want to crush their courage. You would want to encourage it. You want them to think outside the box. You never want to conform them to some label. It's the substance rather than the label that would matter. You wouldn't want to condition their capabilities in order to fit into a social group. You would want to cherish their individuality, cherish their capacity, motivate them to achieve anything that's possible. All of our intuitions are correct, and then institutions talk us out of them, and time again, the problems are with the institutions. I mean, if we were meant to be surrounded by institutions, we would be born as a group, as an institution. We're born as individuals, we leave as individuals, our decisions are individual. And maybe I'm getting a little bit too far off track here, but one of the key takeaways in all of this is the value of love, that love is unconditional and voluntary.
Universal. It is the universal language, literally.
Yeah, and it's unconditional because any condition would reduce the value of love. So true love is unconditional. And then also true love is voluntary, because if love isn't voluntary, it's not real. If you don't have the choice to love somebody, if you're forced to love something, you don't really love it. You're just going with the flow. I mean, for love to be true, it has to be voluntary, which means that conscience is sacred. The capacity to have love is dependent upon having conscience. So conscience supersedes all these other things. I mean, the government has no right to tell you go against your conscience, or we'll put you in a cage, or we'll kill you. And this doesn't make any sense. If there are five, let's, for the sake of simplicity, if there are 5 people in a society, the 3 can't vote to do whatever they want to the other 2. Just maim them and kill them. I mean, that's ridiculous. And even if this went to a jury trial, what's to say that 12 random people are allowed to do whatever they want with somebody? I mean, ethics are based upon the individual person, not majority vote that could be totally uninformed and totally arbitrary and totally unethical. I mean, everything is really very simple when you think about it. It's just unconditional love, pure love that's based upon a person's conscience. Sure, it's great to share information. The more, the better. But when you say, I get to put you in a cage or I get to kill you because I have some phobia that I think you're evil, that's not ethical.
Exactly. That just brings us back. They look back on when they were burning witches at the stake because they were doing what I do, loving nature and trees and talking to the elementals, and they were burned at the stake as witches, and we look back on that like, oh, how horrible, what a horrible time in history, we could never do that again. But they're literally doing it now as we speak, just in another fashion that you just described. It's
it's just thinking about the world as a newborn child, and we could talk all day about it. We have a lot of countries in the world.
We still believed in fairy tales before we were told that fairy tales aren't true.
Exactly. Our intuitions tend to be true, and when people make up stories, what's actually happening is that since everything actually exists, they're telepathically connecting to those realities. So when they make up a story, they're really recording a story. There are infinite possibilities. They're choosing to record one of them, but the characters actually exist in some other reality.
100%. Yes. I think even Einstein said, you want intelligent children, read them fairy tales. You want them really intelligent, read them more fairy tales.
And imagination is more important than
than
math.
Right. But yet when you see your 5-year-old talking to their imaginary friend and tell them, well, that's not really real, and then and then their friends at school tease them, and then they just suppress those things and the imaginary friend goes away, and that's the heartbreaking part right there. That's the heartbreaking part. The good news is all the children being born now are born with these upgrades, and if enough of us we're opening that path for them now. So as they grow older, these will be more common discussions at school. They won't be teased anymore because all the other friends are having these experiences too, and they'll all we're opening a new world for them. It's going to be a new world for them.
Yeah. I mean, if the child doesn't fit in, well, that's good, because fitting in is destroying the world, and assigning some arbitrary label to them it's like crushing their soul. I mean, every person is unique and valuable, and if they're different, let's learn from them. Let's learn from the children in general, and especially those that have innovative ideas. How are we going to have innovative ideas if we don't listen to the new people coming to the world who aren't programmed with all the problems that we have?
Exactly. And I'm seeing more and more blind people can see, and autistic children are writing music and poems that we've never even begun to heard before, and they're all, they just, yes, you don't want to crush that, you need to bring that up and learn from it. I don't, but my Alexa just lit up. I didn't say anything that sounded like Alexa, did I? I don't know why she just lit up on us. I spent 20 minutes before our meeting, like really, really trying to connect and invite them and explain what this was, and invite them to join us if they. So that would be nice if they would. I felt I had to keep assuring them that, I don't know why it kept popping in my head. Like they were worried I was going to send like investigators here. And I assured them that was never going to happen. This was a safe place. They were going to be honored the way they deserve to be honored. And they were going to be shown to the world with the love and respect they all deserve. And nobody would ever come and no.
Yeah.
And it's all nice and safe here.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Misty. People, listening to something like this, they may say, this is all interesting, but the world's problems are so big. What can I do? Well, what you specifically can do is to change your thinking. Nobody can change your mind except you. And we're not asking you to go against your conscience, just the opposite. We're asking you to just turn off all the radios, stop listening to the institutions, just trust what's out there. It's between you and the universe, and there doesn't need to be any intermediary. There shouldn't be. I mean, you're as precious as anybody else. And if you can establish a personal rapport like Misty, like you are with your orbs, Misty, I mean, these are our family members. These are precious, treasured souls. And if somebody were to come along and break our relationship, it would be like doing it to any other family member. It's totally unacceptable. So if you develop these relationships, you're establishing a culture, and that culture is not going to be just broken by some fluke decision off the cuff. I mean, there's going to be a protest if anything happens in terms of these sacred relationships.
Are sacred.
Yeah. Well, this is probably taking a little bit longer than we were expecting.
I know.
So
we could go all day.
So is Faith waiting for us at 7?
She literally just said,
Oh.
There you go again. She literally just sent a text. That's what I was just looking at when you started to ask. She figured something out. Hugs to Steve, and still needs my help when I'm free.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started with the video compilation. I can stop it and we can talk. We'll just see how this goes here. So let me share the screen.
You stop stealing my crystal. My cat likes to steal crystals. That's it. That's interesting. I remember this being my first time. You're gonna have to show me which one was older than this.
Yeah, so there what was the other date here?
Well, if you got it off my YouTube, I guess I can find that, huh?
Are you seeing this?
Like, I don't know what's on my YouTube.
Are you seeing the video?
Yes.
Okay, so the other date is July 20th. That's the only date earlier than this.
Of 20 or of 21?
Of 20, July 20th, 2020.
Wow.
7/20/2020. All right, so like I say, we can stop and slow this down and do whatever. We'll make it. We'll edit it so it fits in with our discussion in the final cut. Okay, so this is the first video. I just like that one that spirals from out of nowhere. I'll play it again here. Just starts in the middle of your room and then does a corkscrew toward the camera. and then that one just flies across the room, stops, and then moves down. Not something that dust would do, and an insect doesn't glow. And then I really like that one as well. We just have the orb appearing. Here it is, the orb appearing and then rocketing off. And that's not a dust flow. And then we had the one here just appearing in space and disappearing again. No start, no end, just appear and disappear.
Do that a lot, don't they? Jumping up and down. It makes me wonder if some of them are whales. They remind me of whales and spinner dolphins jumping and diving in the water.
And I really like this. This shows that we aren't seeing dust blown around by a fan. Watch how
swervy curvy. I knew this would be your favorite.
Yeah, we get into a lot. We get into the whole grand finale type of thing a little bit later. Just this interaction here. It's like they're chasing each other. It's like they're playing a game. They move toward each other, then fly off in opposite directions.
Yes, I see.
Yeah, and then here's like the grand finale, just zapping all over the place. And then these few just sort of stop by the camera and continue.
Stop and say, "Oh, okay, I'm off."
Yeah. Amazing.
I call these a burst when they happen, a burst though, because it happens every so often that I have the pretty much daily, just, a few hanging around, but then I get this that I call the burst when suddenly just a whole, like someone opened the floodgates and they all come pouring in. It was almost like on that first one, I remember thinking back then that it was like someone let the kids out and they all went running, and then they were calling them back, hey, get back here, and all the kids all turned around and came back again.
And here, like it's like the one is going down the hallway. Yeah, this one as well, sort of meandering around the floor like a mouse, and the others are flying around. It's got the
Yeah.
got the whole crowd here.
Yeah.
And then there's one that flashes somewhere in here. I think it's coming up.
Yes, Blinky. That's a regular. Blinky's definitely a regular. I
Here it
get
is.
a
Yeah,
lot of Blinky.
here's Blinky. Here's Blinky.
Hi, Blinky.
And you can see that these are shaped circularly. It's not like it's a piece of dust, some random shape. It's a perfect circle, and it's turning on and off.
Yes, and I've like gotten screen grabs out of some of these that they've got even like spiral and other geometrical designs in them, very clearly, defined structure in them, the different colors. I don't know of dust, not in any of my experiments was dust in different colors. I have rainbow one that is literally a rainbow. That was a yellow one. I have a hot pink one, a hot green one, and then that rainbow one is another one of my favorites because its design reminds me of like when you look at a CD, like on the back of a CD.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's what it like reminds me of. And it's like always rainbowy colors. And I don't know any dust that does that. I think that one, the rainbow one, shows up in this one, I think.
So that was Blinky that just flew by the camera. And then look, I mean, that's so close up. It's a circle. It's not a piece
exactly.
of dust.
And huge. That would have to be a really huge piece of dust, I think, if it gets so much bigger as it gets closer.
Yeah, it's not dust. It's not a bug.
And it's got, some of them have that really like bright outer rim too, and that I didn't see in dust. When I record dust, and I could, if you ever want examples, I have them because I did there, hot pink.
Yeah.
Burst in like that.
And then here's
dust just doesn't. There's like streaks and like you were saying, like jaggedy, like I don't know how to explain. It's just
sure,
not
yeah,
like
it's random. Yeah.
It is. It's not like this.
And let's go back to that one that was really quick. This really quick wing. We're thinking that that's a being, and here we get into the really obvious things. I mean, this is that's no dust. And
no, these are definitely not dust. And if anyone knows of any bug that looks like that, they are welcome to show me a video of it, and I'll but I've never seen a bug do that either. That would have to be an awfully big bug. And look, it disappeared. Where'd it go? Bugs don't disappear. And if I had a bug, I would have seen it all night long on the video, not just quick little. Yeah, that's no bug.
Yeah.
I love the one where she like jumps and dives. There's another one like she's doing coming up here. I don't know why I say she. She's just so graceful.
Yeah, you can sort of see the body as it's flying by.
Yes, and arms. And is this the one she like does that one? I love that one. Like jumps up from down there and dives, and this next one too. Yeah. At what, 1:25, 2:02 in the morning. Oh yes, this was one of our most recent ones.
Yeah, this was just a few days ago. And it forms a heart there, and then it does it again at the end here. So it's sort of gradually comes in, and then a very clear heart right at the end there. So that's the collection, and of course there's more on your channel, and there's more that you haven't posted. But this is just absolutely amazing. I mean, like we talked about, institutions will tell you all day this stuff isn't real. Like talked about, they can say whatever they want. Here's the evidence, and you didn't have to get a triple doctorate to make this happen. All you had to do was be kind with nature. Of course, it's a long-term relationship, but it's just an exercise in love, and it's illustrating what we can establish through quantum physics and a lot of other avenues, that the spirit world is real. It's loving. If you're loving toward it, you can develop a relationship. And imagine these civilizations that don't really need to span distance or time, which doesn't exist in the first place. And imagine, the rapport that we can develop. People think about technology. Well, why do you need technology if you have metaphysics and it can supply everything? Wouldn't you rather be happy? Because everything's already supplied to begin with, and you're developing a loving rapport with the best souls in the universe that are available to us, and that's a wonderful gift.
100%. 100%. That's how it should be. There's plenty for everybody. Abundance. We weren't meant to come here to work ourselves to the bone and never have a minute to I am so fortunate that I got sick, honestly, because it allowed me the time to form these relationships. None of us are given that opportunity, and we should. There's no need for any of the problems we have, no need for any of them.
Yeah.
The love would solve it all. It really, really would.
Yeah.
That's what's important. And no one needs to wait for any institution to prove this to them. Like you said earlier, sit down and meditate and send out some love, and you'll just prove it to yourself. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, it's not in any institution's interest to say, figure it out yourself, because once you do, you won't need them. It's
exactly. When everyone started screaming, official first contact, OFC, when are they going to disclosure? When are they going to? They don't need to disclose anything. We already know they're here. And everyone else could too.
Yeah.
We're not special.
Yeah.
And we're special, we're awesome, but so is everybody else. And
Exactly. Yeah, everybody is
yes,
special.
and so are you. They play with her. Oh, they play with her now. She can see them. She can see them. My dog can see them. Yes. Yes. They have souls. They love and they have souls. And people seem to forget that. All they gotta do is listen.
Yeah, everything has a soul. Everything is consciousness. We're all the same consciousness. We're just seeing ourselves reflected in different shells. So getting to know nature is getting to know yourself. And
Exactly.
so this has been wonderful, Misty. You've provided, like I say, a wonderful example for the world. Maybe there are other people that know more about orbs. I don't know of any of them. You're way ahead of me, and it's wonderful that this example exists. And please keep it up, and please keep sharing the news. You're just doing amazing work. Thank you.
Oh, as are you, and thank you. You please keep it up. You are a gift to this world. Thank you for everything you're doing.
So are you, Misty. So are you. And so are you watching. So please join us.
Aloha.
Isn't that amazing? That video just shows the ubiquitous reality we can have with our soul family, and it can still be much deeper than that. I mean, like I say, the world's problems can be solved if we just decide to have the courage to address them head on. People think that love is simple, and it is if it's not really applied in a meaningful way, but if it's applied in courage, it's very difficult in the short run, and it's the most efficient path in the long run. So let's please pursue that. And courage, by definition, is something you don't need to look around and establish consensus and then go with the flow. It's exactly the opposite. Courage is where you look with your own vision. You can be informed by others, but you're looking with your own vision and deciding the future that you want, and bravely going there and constituting an example for others to follow if they voluntarily choose. So it's a situation where you have a positive outlook to the future, a positive outlook to those around you. You're elevating your own reality, But most of all, you're elevating everyone around you by contributing to their betterment. So I'd like to close with a song that I think really captures the core messaging from our soul family. It's Natasha Bedingfield's Unwritten, and I don't know if they intended it metaphorically or not, but it takes place in an elevator. And like I say, I'd like to close with that song because I think it really ties everything together. So thanks for watching. There's more to come, and as always, I appreciate your involvement. Thank you.